A jet of flames burst out from the front, and immediately burned the surrounding woods, making the floating light scattering and fleeing. Huang Beiyue escaped from a flame and hid behind a strong tree. She looked forward and, suddenly, was shocked by the sight. A huge golden tiger was lying on a pile of blue-green vines. On her back there were 4 pairs of golden wings with beautiful and dazzling coat color. The pressure of the mythological beast formed a light gold barrier around her. With such strong evil spiritual power in the barrier, absolutely no spiritual beast dared to approach. The golden tiger looked a little weak, with half-squinting golden eyes particularly full of sadness and pain. She looked at her stomach from time to time and then made a pitiful whimper. The blue-green vines wrapped half of her body. Out of the pile of bright green leaves, there emitted the earth attribute vitality, which was constantly absorbed into the body by Golden Tiger. With the nourishment of those vitality, she roared again, struggling painfully and rolling among the vines. Feng Lian followed up and stood behind Huang Beiyue, whispering, "What happened to her? Is she wounded?" "No, she is giving birth," Huang Beiyue said calmly. Males just had no concept about this kind of thing. On hearing giving birth, Feng Lian coughed unnaturally. He secretly admired the little girl. At such a young age, she knew everything. Huang Beiyue said slowly, "She is having a dystocia. I never thought that mythological beasts would have dystocia as well. It seems that she is exhausted. If she can't give birth, she will die with the baby. What should we do?" Huang Beiyue glanced at him. "You want to help?" Feng Lian smiled with purple eyes glittering. Although mythological beasts are fierce and noble, they are smarter than ordinary spiritual beasts, and they are also grateful. If you help him, he will help you naturally. I think so too, Huang Beiyue said directly. She wanted to help that golden tiger, and also hoped to get help from the mythological beast. At least, help her find the other 2 medicinal ingredients to refine the cleansing bone marrow pill. Feng Lian smiled and said, "Despite the thought, can you really help? She is very irritable now, and you can't break that barrier." "Just try it," Huang Beiyue said. On second thought, she asked, "The sound of your guqin. It has a pacifying effect on spiritual beasts, doesn't it? Shouldn't it work for mythological beasts either?" "I've never tried before." "Then let's try it now." After that, she walked out from behind the big tree. Feng Lian immediately took out the guqin, put it on his lap and played it slowly. Hearing the sound, the golden tiger immediately raised her head and widened her half-squinting eyes. The strong anger in her golden pupils seemed to be substantive. She angrily roared at the intruder and fiercely showed her teeth. Huang Beiyue walked to the barrier without panic. Her black eyes encountered with the pair of golden eyes. But she didn't shrink back at all facing the powerful golden eyes. Golden Tiger was stunned and suddenly said, "Little girl, are you here to die?" The loud and powerful voice was like a strong wind, making the surrounding air shaking violently in an instant. Huang Beiyue also shook at her feet for a moment. She tried to stand still and said to herself in mind, "No wonder it was called mythological beast. Only its voice could produce such powerful force." However, she was not a person who would retreat easily. Clenching beast without boundaries tightly in hand, she took a quick step aside to avoid the shock wave from the golden tiger's voice. Even though she had moved so fast, the strong wind still scratched her neck, leaving a thin bloodstain. The golden tiger, who was in childbirth, was particularly grumpy, and would never show mercy to any creature who dared to approach her. Seeing such fast movement of Huang Beiyue, the golden eyes of the golden tiger suddenly froze. A golden light shot out so quickly that it made a violent sound in the air. "Be careful!" Feng Lian shouted behind. The sound of guqin suddenly soared. He waved his sleeves, and the tumbling wind elements rushed like a huge wave, hitting the golden light from the eyes of the golden tiger. Bang! The strong impact formed a huge cyclone in the air. It was glued for a long time before heading straight to the clouds, even breaking the dense trees covering the sky. The rest of the cyclone swept around like a hurricane, breaking several trunks. When the hurricane stopped, Lian took a look around, but he did not see Huang Beiyue. Suddenly feeling nervous, Lian stood up. "Don't stop." Suddenly there was a cold voice overhead. The light emitted by floating lights was suddenly obscured. A huge mythical bird flew above, immediately radiating icy air and dispelling the muggy heat around. On the back of the mythical bird, a girl with long red hair stood agilely, holding a snow-white ice feather in hand. She looked back gently, showing deep and cold dark eyes. This was Shi Tian's ice spirit bird. And that was the most prestigious red-haired witch recently, the mysterious 9-star summoner who controlled one of the 5 super spiritual beasts, Shi Tian. Shocked for a moment, Lian smiled lightly. This girl was too unexpected. 12 years old. 9-star summoner. Ice spirit bird owner. She was a real genius, totally over Prince Zhangyi. Why had she been treated as a crap for so many years? Shao family were really as blind as a group of bats. "I'm counting on you." After seeing her strong identity, Lian was not worried anymore. Though not a mythological beast, Ice Spirit Bird was a super spiritual beast. Therefore, there was no need to worry too much about facing an overly weak mythological beast in childbirth. Huang Beiyue nodded her head. She waved the ice feather in her hand. Gales of frozen air mixed in black air violently rushed to the light gold barrier around the golden tiger like reversed rivers. The golden tiger roared suddenly. She stood up with her weak body. A flame burst out from her mouth in an instant. Huang Beiyue did not intend to clash with a mythological beast face on face. She immediately drove the ice spirit bird higher. At the same time, the light gold barrier was suddenly broken into pieces and fell down because of her attack. Damn human. The golden tiger was furious totally. How could the barrier of a mythological beast be broken by a simple human summoner? She was so angry that flames burst out suddenly from her golden body. The flames were burning more and more vigorously and finally turned golden in color. The mythological beast in a violent rage put her sharp claws forward and scratched. Golden flames flew out all at once from her body. Huang Beiyue immediately felt a tremendous pressure, like a huge stone pressing her chest depressedly. Ice Spirit Bird said in mind, "Master, she is very weak and not aggressive in the state of childbirth, so I can stop her." "No, it will be troublesome if you are injured. Leave now." Huang Beiyue finished calmly and jumped off Ice Spirit Bird's back. Not only was Ice Spirit Bird shocked by her action, even Lian was surprised as he was watching outside. What did she want to do? Breaking into the attack range of the mythological beast alone and seeking for death. "Ice Shield, go!" Huang Beiyue shouted softly. Suddenly, 12 ice shields stood in front of her, layer by layer. The 12 ice shields was the strongest attack she could give out. Last time when she used Ice Shield, she could merely stop Honorable Spirit for a moment. Though this mythological beast was not as powerful as Honorable Spirit, her actions were totally out of rage. If the Golden Tiger fought with her life, she would have amazing explosive power. So Huang Beiyue dared not to be careless. The golden flames on the Golden Tiger hit those ice shields. The front 6 ice shields immediately fragmented, and the behind ones also had cracks appearing. The attack was not successful. The Golden Tiger immediately started the second wave of attacks. The golden flame rushed in all its fury. Huang Beiyue tooted. A snow-white vitality amulet suddenly appeared in her hand. It flew into the air. Huang Beiyue glanced at it quickly, and then sealed it at once. This was a simple amulet left by Honorable Spirit. It's easy to use. The channel connecting with the amulet could be created by ice attribute vitality. But she had never tried before and didn't know its power. Ice Shield. Go! After the golden tiger's golden flame broke her first 12 ice shields, the second ice shield was immediately built and the snow-white amulet was pasted on it. Do you think you can stop me? The golden tiger saw her use the ice shield again and sneered disdainfully. The gold flames on her body condensed into a larger and stronger flame. She scratched her sharp claws in the air for 3 consecutive times. Then 3 flames rushed forward like thunder and collided on the ice shields. The ice shields that had been enforced by the amulet shook for a while. The glimmering snow-white light flashed across the ice shields. The first 3 ice shields cracked and smashed, but the remainings were still impregnable. The golden tiger was shocked by the result and looked incredulously at the remaining 9 ice shields. How could that be possible? How could her golden flame not break even the ice shield of a simple summoner? As a powerful mythological beast, she could never accept such blows. Despite the extreme pain in abdomen, she still began to condense the third attack of the golden flame. Huang Beiyue jumped lightly over ice shield and looked at the golden tiger with arms held. Are you going to exhaust all your vitality to fight with me and die with the baby beast in your belly? None of your business. Damn human, I must kill you today. The golden tiger roared into the air. Huang Beiyue smiled lightly and said, if you kill me, then no one can help you. The golden tiger hesitated for a moment. The pain of childbirth made her whole body shiver. Her legs, which barely supported her on the ground, were shaking. It was very powerful for the golden tiger to fight against Huang Beiyue with strong strength for such a long time. Seeing the hesitation in her eyes, Huang Beiyue continued to say, I don't want to fight with you. If your baby beast doesn't come out right now, it will die. I won't believe in human beings. The golden tiger wheezed and said. Obviously, she was exhausted. You will believe in me. Huang Beiyue said firmly. The golden tiger looked up at her and asked, why? Because of this. Huang Beiyue raised her hand and the black beast without boundaries came out in her palm. Its whole pure and thick black, and its complex and ancient lines all made it somehow mysterious. Even the mythical beast golden tiger took half a step back. As a mystical beast, you should be able to feel stronger power of the ancient jade. If I really want to fight against you, it won't take much effort due to your weak state in childbirth. Huang Beiyue calmly said. Although there were some exaggerations in her words, it was true that the power of beast without boundaries could not to be underestimated. The more powerful the spiritual beast was, the stronger power it could feel. It was just that she didn't know how to make use of it. Even so, the power of that simple vitality amulet she had just revealed was strong enough to make the golden tiger believe her words. The bright white light flashed on Ice Shield. The soft and bright hair of the golden tiger gradually appeared dim. Huang Beiyue jumped down from Ice Shield. She raised her hand slightly and said softly, "Don't worry. I just want to help you." Under her gentle soothing voice and the tweedle of Feng Lian's Guqin not far away, the mood of the golden tiger really calmed down gradually. However, at the moment when Huang Beiyue was about to approach her, she suddenly raised her head. "Swear to God." Huang Beiyue smiled gently. She raised 2 fingers to the sky without hesitation and swore, "Huang Beiyue, swear that if I do anything that hurts the golden tiger and the baby beast, I will be struck by lightning and split into 2 halves." As soon as the oath was finished, a thunderclap flashed across the sky that had just been hit by the cyclone of Lian and the golden tiger. "An oath, once made, shall not be violated, or the thunderclap would continuously strike you down until you are dead." The golden tiger was a little relieved. She couldn't support herself anymore. She leaned over the green vines and gasped heavily. The quick war just now had consumed too much of her vitality, and now she could only rely on the continuous supply of green vitality on the vine. "Human, is your name Huang Beiyue?" asked Golden Tiger weakly. Huang Beiyue took out the black cloak from the space ring and covered it on the golden tiger's body. She put her hand on the abdomen of the golden tiger and gently pressed it. She could feel the squirming of the baby beast in her abdomen. "Yes, my name is Huang Beiyue," she answered. The baby beast was still crawling, which made them a little relieved. She asked, "The baby beast is okay? Can you make it?" The higher level the spiritual beast was, the more difficult and dangerous it would be when giving birth to a baby. It would be much more difficult for a mythological beast like the golden tiger. "Yes. My child, you must come out smoothly," the golden tiger whispered. Huang Beiyue tightly pressed her lips. At this time, Lian came up from behind. As soon as the golden tiger felt his breath, she roared at a low voice. "He is with me." Huang Beiyue appeased. "He is with me." Huang Beiyue appeased as she looked up and said to Lian, "Go and inspect the surrounding area. Don't let anyone near here." Lian nodded and left. Huang Beiyue turned back and said, "The baby beast has been formed in your abdomen. It's too huge, which makes it hard for you to give birth. Now I'm going to pull her out by hand. You have to endure the pain." The golden tiger nodded, then opened her mouth and bit on a thick vine. She closed her eyes and totally relied on Huang Beiyue. After the oath, the mythological beast didn't doubt her anymore. Seeing this, Huang Beiyue dared not be careless. She took the alcohol out of the space ring, which was a necessity for every student who came to Floating Forest. Once meeting powerful spiritual beasts, they would drink it to boost up their courage. Although this idea was a little funny, it was a good way. At least for now, she really needed a drink to strengthen her courage. She lifted her head and took a big gulp from the jar. Then she poured the rest of the alcohol over her hands. When she was training in the 21st century, she saw the master deliver a horse in the horse farm. The alcohol was used for disinfection. Although mythological beast might not necessarily be afraid of viruses or other things, she still did it because it was better safe than sorry. She slowly put one hand into the golden tiger's body. Animals were basically the same in body structures. Now the golden tiger's cervix was opened. Normally she would have been able to give birth to a baby beast by now. However, this baby beast was so large that it didn't look like an ordinary baby beast at all. Huang Beiyue finally felt the baby beast after a while. She tried to correct the baby's position and bring its head down. She grabbed the 2 forelimbs of the baby, let its body curl up as much as possible, and slowly pulled it out. During this process, a lot of blood flowed out from the golden tiger's body. It didn't get any relief even though she had continuously absorbed the vitality on the vine. Huang Beiyue couldn't help sweating. Was this the extreme bleeding that rarely happens when a woman gave birth to a child? Huang Beiyue's heart raced suddenly as she dragged the baby beast. The golden tiger was also exerting strength. But every time she exerted her strength, more blood flowed out. Huang Beiyue hurriedly said, "Your bleeding is getting worse. What should I do?" "Keep dragging." The golden tiger roared, obviously in great pain. Huang Beiyue nodded and continued. Soon the baby beast started coming out of the mother's body. First were the small, golden forelegs. She cried happily, "It's coming out. I see the forelegs." The golden tiger was relieved. Some wet liquid threatening to pour out of her eyes. Then finally, the head of the baby beast with tiny golden fluff surrounding it slowly appeared, all the while being accompanied by a light golden flame. Now that the head came out, the rest of the body easily slid out. Huang Beiyue was sweating all over. She wrapped the little baby beast with the cloak and said, "My friend is a wind attribute summoner. He knows healing. I will call him over." Huang Beiyue. The golden tiger looked at her baby beast and slowly said, "No need. Yesterday I was in the west of floating forest and fought with an adult multi-eyed cold toad. I have been seriously hurt. Your friend can't save me." Seriously hurt? Huang Beiyue's eyes were wide open. How could it be? Giving birth with a serious injury. No wonder she was so weak. "How can I help you? The baby beast is so young. If you put her in the floating forest now, a mere stronger spiritual beast can easily kill her." The baby beast, which had just come out of the mother's womb, was protected by the barrier of the mythological beast. However, the barrier was useless for a powerful spiritual beast. If the baby beast was born to be an orphan, wouldn't it be too unlucky? "Huang Beiyue, I am a pure gold spirit tiger. This is my child. Make a contract with him." The golden tiger looked up at Huang Beiyue and said, "If not for this human, she would not be able to give birth to the baby beast smoothly. Even if she barely did it, once she died, the newborn baby beast would not be able to survive from the attack of those fierce spiritual beasts in the floating forest." Life in the floating forest was completely under the rules of the law of the jungle. Huang Beiyue was shocked. Make a contract with a baby mythological beast. Which would mean she has a mythological beast as a summoning spirit beast. The pennies from heaven made her a little dizzy, but she still stayed calm. Surely, she was happy to have a mythological beast as a summoning spirit beast, but she would not get carried away. He is too small to decide. I will not make a contract with him. Huang Beiyue said. The golden tiger looked at her in shock. Average human beings would have been overjoyed on hearing that they can make a contract with a mythological beast, and would take immediate actions. But this female human refused. After the shock, the golden tiger couldn't help admiring her character and said, "Well, you can help me raise him. If he is willing to make a contract with you after growing up, it will be great. Otherwise, I have something else for you as compensation." The golden tiger opened her mouth, spitting out a golden crystal. She waved her big claw and sent it to Huang Beiyue. Huang Beiyue was slightly surprised and said, "This is your beast nucleus." This was the first time that Huang Beiyue had seen a beast nucleus, because only mythological beasts can agglomerate beast nucleus. It looked wrinkled, as small as an apple, but was in a flame-like golden color because of the fire attribute of the golden tiger. The beast nucleus was condensed with the strength of mythological beasts. Once spitting out the beast nucleus, the mythological beast would definitely not be able to pull through. The strength in the beast nucleus could be absorbed by human beings depending on his or her cultivation. For example, a low-level 3-star summoner could only move up 1 star even if he got a beast nucleus of the mythological beast. But if the summoner was powerful enough, there would be unexpected gains. Anyway, I can't use it anymore. You swore that you wouldn't hurt my child. That's your reward. The golden tiger lowered her head and nuzzled the baby beast who had not yet opened his eyes. It sounded like the golden tiger had made a decision. Huang Beiyue didn't say more. She reached for the beast nucleus, and slowly said, "You said that it's the multi-eyed cold toad in the west of floating forest that had greatly beaten you?" "That's right. It's a 6th level spiritual beast with strong power. When I was about to give birth, he came. So I was defeated and seriously injured, replied the golden tiger. Huang Beiyue held her hands and said, if I become stronger in the future, I will kill him for you. The golden tiger glanced at her admiringly and said, Huang Beiyue, you are the most righteous human I have ever seen. Huang Beiyue said with a smile, if you accept someone's money, you have to eliminate disasters for him. I learned this from another human. Golden Tiger took a silent look at her baby beast, then pushed him to Huang Beiyue and said, please take my baby and leave. Huang Beiyue held the baby pure gold spirit tiger. He hadn't opened his eyes yet, sleeping soundly like a cute and lovely puppy whose tiny body was covered with light golden fluff. We came here to find a few medicinal materials. I wonder if you can help me. Huang Beiyue said. What kind of medicine materials? Asked the golden tiger. The earth attribute earth spirit plant and the thunder attribute horn stone. Huang Beiyue replied. Ah, earth spirit plant. The golden tiger said as she put aside the vines with claws. A patch of dark blue land came into sight, which was covered with a slimy saliva layer of spiritual beasts. Under the transparent saliva, the earth attribute medicinal material with green lights, earth spirit plant, loomed over. They had searched high and low, but only to find it when they least expected to. Huang Beiyue immediately jumped down, swept the slimy saliva on the ground with ice feathers, then dug out several earth spirit plants. As for the thunder attribute horn stone, go straight eastward, you will see a rocky beach. That's where they are. The golden tiger added. Thank you very much. Huang Beiyue replied. After getting what she wanted, Huang Beiyue said goodbye to the golden tiger, then took the baby pure gold spirit tiger out to meet with Feng Lian. Seeing her holding the baby beast, Feng Lian was a little surprised. He looked up at the direction of the golden tiger and saw that the green vines were gradually withering. He understood. Now we have got the earth spirit plant. Let's go east and we'll find the horn stone. Huang Beiyue glanced at him and said with a poker face. Then she walked straight to the east. Feng Lian kept up and said, what are you going to do with the baby beast? Keep it. You are going to keep a mythological beast. Feng Lian said with a slight smile, how can you take him out without others doubting his origin? Besides, on Cardi continent, it's very dangerous to have a baby mythological beast. Sure, I know that. But everything will be fine if only I can cover his essence of a mythological beast. She once saw an elixir on the scroll of refined medicines of Medicine Saint Dugu, which could temporarily change one's appearance after drinking. Since it was useful for human beings, it should also be useful for spiritual beasts. It was not difficult to refine the elixir, except that the needed medical materials were a little expensive. She had long wanted to try, so she asked Dong Ling to buy the medical materials a few days ago. Maybe she could find a place to refine it quietly later. She said so confidently that Feng Lian knew she must have had a solution in mind. He couldn't help but be more curious about her. What on earth could stump her? As expected, after a short walk to the east, they saw a rocky beach, where many floating lights gathered. They shone so brightly that everything on the rocky beach was clearly visible. There were some places on the rocky beach occasionally flashing lightning. Probably, they were where horn stones were hidden. I will find the horn stone. Go and find out how to cover up the essence of this mythological beast. After finding the horn stone, we'll go back. Feng Lian proposed. Although Feng Lian had made some contributions to gain the pure gold spirit tiger, he didn't seem to covet the baby pure gold spirit tiger at all. His calm facing a mythological beast made Huang Beiyue admire him. Thank you. Huang Beiyue said lightly. Then she walked into the woods on the side of the rocky beach with pure gold spirit tiger. Feng Lian looked at her back and smiled lightly. Little girl, at last, she was a little polite to him. The surrounding spiritual beasts had all escaped away from fear of the golden tiger, so it was basically safe. Huang Beiyue found a big tree and climbed up. She put the baby pure gold spirit tiger at her feet, and then made 36 ice shields around. In this way, she wouldn't worry about being attacked by those floating lights while refining the elixir later using vitality. It was a kind of waste setting as much as 36 ice shields. But for insurance sake, she couldn't be stingy. After all, those medical materials were very expensive. She took out the purple quenching golden furnace, and placed the medical materials one by one according to their attributes. Then she gathered vitality in hands to form fire flames burning in the purple quenching golden furnace. She had refined elixirs many times before, so this time she was very familiar with the procedure. Besides, with the methods recorded in Scroll of Refined Medicines, it yielded twice the result with half the effort. Only after about an hour, the elixir was ready. This elixir was called Silver Snake Dan, which was named after the silver snake, the most important and expensive medical material in it. Silver Snake was not a high-level spiritual beast, but it was rare to see. It grew in the snow plateau and lived in the frozen snow field all year round. Therefore, its whole body was beautiful silvery white. It was said that Silver Snake Dan was an elixir extremely loved by some noble women in the past. After eating it, people can maintain youth for at least 3 to 5 years. The Silver Snake Dan made by Huang Beiyue was refined according to the records in Scroll of Refined Medicines. Therefore, it was different in nature from those made for the noble women. This Silver Snake Dan could change one's appearance, including quality and other characteristics. Huang Beiyue put the Silver Snake Dan into baby pure gold spirit tiger's mouth. The little guy swallowed it directly, which frightened Huang Beiyue. What if the baby beast choked to death? But in fact, it was unnecessary to worry. After eating the Silver Snake Dan, the pure gold spirit tiger was still asleep lovingly, only the pale golden light on his body disappearing slowly. The gorgeous golden fluff gradually turned into ordinary patterned tiger furs. It was really useful. Huang Beiyue was very happy. Now, she could keep the baby beast openly and righteously. The baby tiger needn't to hide like the ice spirit bird. Now that she had made it, she couldn't keep Feng Lian wait any longer. She took back the 36 ice shields and jumped down from the tree holding the pure gold spirit tiger. A few steps later, she heard a rude shout behind, "Who is there? Get out!" Huang Beiyue frowned. There were other people in Floating Forest. Those who were not scared away by the golden tiger must be masters. She stopped but didn't turn around. The people behind her had already stepped up. There were at least 10 people judging from the footsteps. "It's a little girl. You scared me," the man said. "Hey, how dare an ordinary girl break into the floating forest alone? She must be a disguised master. Ding Qi, don't underestimate the enemy," another man said. Brother Huang Xiao is right. Nowadays, little girls can be amazing. Look at the bitch Hong Lian. It makes me angry just thinking of her. A third man said. Ding Qi was the man shouting at the beginning. After listening to the words, he nodded and said, "Yes, we can't underestimate the enemy. This little girl must be weird. Hey, little girl, where are you from?" Chapter 347, Prestigious Hong Lian, 1, Proofreader, Chun Bun. They had 10 people, all of which were masters. Therefore, facing an unknown little girl, they had nothing to worry about. Huang Beiyue licked her lips. "Who are they? Why did they mention Hong Lian? Besides, it seems that they are quite familiar with that Hong Lian from their words. She didn't reply. Feeling that Ding Qi was coming forward, Huang Beiyue raised her head, looking at Ding Qi coldly. The harsh eyes of Huang Beiyue made Ding Qi greatly shocked. His expression immediately changed and a deep chill grew in his heart, making him shiver. He couldn't help but step back and then fell to the ground with a thump. Huang Beiyue was surprised. Is she so scary? Seeing his reaction, his companions thought that they had met a powerful opponent. So they took out their weapons one after another. Unexpectedly, there were 4 summoners among these 10 people. What's more, the 4 were summoners superior to 7 stars with spiritual beasts above level 10. The rest were all Budo masters above the Golden Warrior level, even including a first-level Blade Master. Each of these people seemed to have experienced hundreds of battles. If they came to blows, she alone would definitely be on the lower hand fighting with a dozen of people. Surrounded by murderousness, Huang Beiyue was about to be besieged. At that time, Ding Qi, who fell to the ground, suddenly shouted, "Stop! Don't be presumptuous." Hearing his shout, everyone looked at each other. Huang Xiao said, "Ding Qi, what's the matter with you?" Huang Beiyue also felt absurd. 1 second ago, they were about to fight. But 1 second later, they stopped. How come? She was just about to roll up her sleeves for battle. Ding Qi climbed to Huang Beiyue's feet, knelt down and flattered, "Prestigious Hong Lian, we didn't know you are here. We failed to recognize your prestigious self. Please forgive our offense." Huang Beiyue frowned, "Prestigious Hong Lian." Ding Qi's words made other people all shocked. Their faces changed dramatically. They quickly took back their weapons and ran up. They knelt down immediately and cried, "Prestigious Hong Lian, we know our faults. Please forgive us. Please forgive us. We won't dare to do it again. Your prestigious is as mighty as the heaven. Long live with the earth. Conquering the world. Superior to anyone. Conquering the world. Superior to anyone. Long live your prestigious." Suddenly, the people who were going to fight against her just now all knelt in front of her to please, flatter and beg for mercy. How ridiculous. Huang Beiyue had fiery red hair at the moment, without expression on her delicate and decent face. Her cold and merciless appearance made these people scared. Huang Beiyue thought in mind, why did they call her Prestigious Hong Lian? Does she look like the Hong Lian who killed Sima Guiyan? No. If they looked similar, why wasn't Sima Guiyan surprised seeing her that day? Or even Sima Guiyan hadn't seen Hong Lian's appearance in person. This seemed reasonable. Because Hong Lian belonged to Guangyao Hall, which was famous for its mystery. People there would definitely not show their appearances easily. Thinking of this, Huang Beiyue was relieved. Since these people had mistaken her with Hong Lian, why not take it to get some information? She looked at these people expressionlessly, thinking of the arrogant tone and posture of Hong Lian that day. How dare you speak ill of me behind my back? You are really getting tired of living. Huang Beiyue reproached. On hearing the cold voice, these people shivered like chaffs. The man named Huang Xiao was quite sedate. He hurriedly said, "Please calm your anger, Your Prestigious. We just said something wrong, and we will punish ourselves." Punish yourselves. Good. First, everyone, break one finger. An arrogant arc showed up at the corner of Huang Beiyue's mouth. Like a god looking down at ants, she looked down at these people kneeling at her feet. Huang Xiao and others looked rather pale. They were so scared that their lips had been bitten. However, Hong Lian asked them to break their fingers. How dare they disobey? Prestigious Hong Lian was the most powerful person in the whole Guangyao Hall, apart from Sage King. No one dared to challenge her even in the whole Cardi continent. Those 9-star summoners, no matter how powerful they were said to be, would be totally defeated by prestigious Hong Lian with a single attack. How dare these nobodies say no to prestigious Hong Lian? Moreover, prestigious Hong Lian had a ferocious temperament. If you didn't do as she said, it would be even worse. All these people knew this well. The only way to survive was to obey the order of prestigious Hong Lian and break their fingers. Therefore, everyone took out their own daggers or weapons, determined and cut off their little finger. Suddenly, several painful sobs and cries, even deliberately lowered, echoed in the floating forest. Those floating lights in midair were shaking their long fins one after another. It seemed that the smell of blood made them a little excited. In addition, those people released some vitality just now. Though for a short period of time, many floating lights had been attracted, floating around those who had broken their fingers. Huang Beiyue smiled coldly. They were really a group of obedient fools. On the contrary, it showed that Hong Lian was really powerful. Since these people dared not question her words at all, and even hurt themselves, it could be imagined how dominant Hong Lian was. Prestigious Hong Lian, please calm your anger. The man named Huang Xiao, though sweating with pain, begged her fawningly. Huang Beiyue snorted softly yet coldly, and said, "The bloody fingers on the ground are so disgusting." Yes. Yes. Hearing that, Huang Xiao immediately dug the ground with his bloody hands, and buried their severed fingers together with the blood. Others also followed his actions. Then Huang Beiyue, with her mouth curled contentedly, asked casually and haughtily, "Why are you here?" Huang Xiao immediately replied, "Your prestigious, yesterday you asked us to come to the floating forest to look for the injured mythological beast. But we didn't find any trace for a long time after we came in. Until this afternoon, we finally heard the sound of the spiritual beast running away in the east forest. We thought that it was the mythological beast, so we rushed here." So they were here for the golden tiger who was seriously injured by the multi-eyed cold toad. The golden tiger once said that she was seriously injured by the multi-eyed cold toad in the west forest. Hong Lian was still in Linhua City the day before yesterday. How could she cross the floating forest to the west and saw the golden tiger seriously injured in such a short time? Did she go through the floating forest alone or with the hidden man that day? Anyway, the powerful strength of Hong Lian was way too amazing. When spiritual beasts hadn't escaped away, every place in the floating forest was highly risky. Even now, Huang Beiyue still didn't know how to cross the forest. In this regard, Hong Lian was really awesome. "How's it going? Did you find the mythological beast?" Huang Beiyue asked in a cold voice. The pure gold spirit tiger in her arms was still sleeping, not showing any sign of waking up. She wrapped it in a cloak, so these people could not figure out what it was. "You're prestigious, we just arrived at the place where it showed the threat of the mythological beast, but only to find out that the fire attribute mythological beast was actually dead." "So," Huang Xiao said in a lower voice. He was afraid of being punished. "How about the animal nucleus?" Huang Beiyue glanced at him. The cold and powerful aura of Huang Beiyue immediately made these tall men lean down, almost to the ground. Huang Xiao said cautiously, animal nucleus, huh? No animal nucleus." Huang Beiyue asked coldly. "How is it possible that there is no animal nucleus after the death of a mythological beast? Are you guys cheating me? You're prestigious. We would never have the guts to cheat you." Huang Xiao trembled and shouted. When we rushed there, the mythological beast had died, and the nucleus had been missing. But there were signs of fighting at the scene. I'm afraid that someone had taken it away before us. Huang Beiyue felt it funny to hear this. If these people knew that she was the one to have taken the nucleus away, and they were here kneeling to beg for her mercy, wouldn't they be furious? I will investigate this matter. If you dare to cheat me with one word, you know the consequences. Huang Beiyue threatened. Yes, yes. Thanks, Your Prestigious, for your mercy. Huang Shao led the group of people to kowtow immediately. Get up. Huang Beiyue waved her hand and said coldly. Huang Shao and others stood up. The man named Ding Qi immediately flattered and said, You're prestigious, your gorgeous hair color suits you really well. Other people nodded. They had never seen prestigious Hong Lian in red hair. Compared with the black hair before, it was more arrogant and gorgeous. Huang Beiyue glanced at them and said, It's an accident. Whoever dares to mention it again in the future will be killed without forgiveness. She threatened them so seriously because she was afraid that these people would leak out that they once saw her. By that time, if the real Hong Lian found out, Huang Beiyue would be in trouble. Yes. These people immediately bowed and answered. They didn't doubt because prestigious Hong Lian used to like her beautiful black hair best. Now, although she still looked brilliant in red hair, how could she change her favorite color but for an accident? Now that they had seen prestigious Hong Lian lose face, in the future, they must stitch their mouths tightly and never leak out anything. Otherwise, they would be killed without doubt. While they were talking, suddenly they heard footsteps coming from the front. Then a white clear figure showed up from the bright and dark floating lights. Huang Shao and several people immediately went up to show their loyalty. They bravely stood in front of Huang Beiyue, as if they had no fear of death. The white figure stopped, seeming a little surprised at the scene. The purple eyes looked puzzled under the floating lights. Huang Beiyue said to herself, Oh no, why is Feng Lian here? Huang Beiyue wanted to say something to remind Feng Lian. He was a clever man, so he must know what to say. But before she spoke, Huang Shao, who stood in front of her, saw the appearance of Feng Lian and shouted out in surprise. Xiao Luo City. He's from Xiao Luo City. Brother Huang, what do you mean? Ding Qi cried out in fear. Huang Shao left him aside, but turned to Huang Beiyue and whispered, You're prestigious, this is a person from Xiao Luo City. I have seen him before. What should we do now? Xiao Luo City, Huang Beiyue whispered. She looked up thoughtfully at Feng Lian. He looked cool and not surprised. Xiao Luo City was the darkest and most horrible organization in Cardi Continent. It was said to be a place more terrible than hell. People in Xiao Luo City were cruel, bloodthirsty, and ruthless. Anyone who dared to provoke them, even if it was a whole country, would be destroyed by them. Such a horrible place would make everyone on Cardi Continent afraid upon hearing its name. But except for the rumors, no one knew what the real Xiao Luo City looked like. Feng Lian is from Xiao Luo City. Are you sure? Huang Beiyue asked in a cold voice. Huang Shao hurriedly said, You're prestigious, this guy is the most conspicuous among the group of monsters in Xiao Luo City. How can I mistake him with others? Feng Lian was so good-looking that it was hard for people who had seen him to forget him. Huang Beiyue nodded. She looked at Feng Lian again. But he was still not affected. Huang Beiyue finally said, This man has some background. I'm afraid he also has unfathomable strength. You can't deal with him. Step aside. Hearing this, Huang Shao and others were delighted. They said, Your prestigious is awesome. Thanks, Your prestigious. It was hard to deal with people of Xiao Luo City. But with prestigious Hong Lian, they were more relieved. Please be careful, you're prestigious. Huang Xiao said as he led his companions to retreat from the back. Huang Beiyue had been looking straight at Feng Lian's face all through. Then, she began to talk with a light banter, Xiao Luo City. How great is Prince Yi? After these people left, Feng Lian smiled slowly and said, compared with prestigious Hong Lian, I am nobody. Huang Beiyue snorted and replied, don't pretend in front of me. I've thought that you might not be a good person, but I actually didn't expect that you really aren't a good person. Feng Lian touched his nose and smiled happily, you are angry again. Huang Beiyue's dark eyes suddenly turned cold and she stared at him. Feng Lian immediately said, well, next time if you want to know something, just ask me. I will never conceal. Okay. Who wants to know about you? Who are you? What do you have to do with me? Huang Beiyue said coldly. She held the baby pure gold spirit tiger and was about to leave. Her cold mood made Feng Lian a little disappointed. He turned his head and looked at her. His smile gradually vanished. Then Feng Lian said, since those people have seen you and I, there will be a potential threat if they live. We'd better solve them now. Well, do I have to deal with such things? Huang Beiyue said in a queen-like manner. I see. Feng Lian nodded. Not daring to disturb the queen anymore, he disappeared in a flash. Huang Xiao and his companions went fast. If prestigious Hong Lian fought with the person from Xiao Luo City and attracted too many floating lights, it would not be good for them. It was not suitable to watch the battle for these small potatoes. They'd better run away as soon as possible. Big brother Huang, I have a feeling that prestigious Hong Lian is a little strange today. Ding Qi said doubtfully as he walked quickly. Another person nodded in agreement, prestigious Mo Lian doesn't seem to be with her. Huang Xiao said, maybe it's because prestigious Hong Lian's hair is a little different that we feel she's strange. Besides, prestigious Mo Lian seems to not like being with prestigious Hong Lian. Big brother Huang is also right. If it wasn't for prestigious Mo Lian's poor living ability, he would surely have nothing to do with prestigious Hong Lian. Ding Qi scratched his head and finally smiled with relief. I hope prestigious Hong Lian will successfully solve the person from Xiao Luo City. Ding Qi said. Huang Xiao said with a dignified looking, I don't think that person can be solved easily. Last time I saw him, he was, Big brother Huang, be careful. Ding Qi suddenly shouted, but it was too late. As soon as he shouted out, the head of Huang Xiao rolled down from his neck. Soundless and stirless. Invisible and shapeless. Only a breeze blew over. It was extremely eerie in the dark forest. Who is it? Ding Qi turned around and shouted. But he couldn't see anything in the surrounding void darkness. The floating lights were moving slowly. A few of them flew around Ding Qi with their long fins floating. Ding Qi was so furious that he slashed the floating lights with the sword in hand. His companion's head was at feet, but he couldn't care about anything else. The hidden master would not let them go. But when he raised his sword, the floating lights suddenly hissed. They shook their long fins, opened their mouths and bit his neck. The floating lights started to suck his blood together. Ding Laoer! The rest of the people shouted. They took out their weapons and called up their summoning beasts, and came up to expel the floating lights. These floating lights sucked the blood so fast, which was more horrible than the blue bat and other spiritual beasts. In just a moment, Ding Qi had been sucked to death and fell onto the ground. Damn! Who is it? A man couldn't help but stand up and shout. Suddenly a gust of wind swept across his face. Then his eyes opened wide and his head rolled down his neck. Ghost, ghost! When the rest of the people saw this, they were all frightened and panicked. They turned around and began to flee. Suddenly, only a few steps away, a strong wind came from all directions, wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves. The roaring wind was sharper than the blade, whirling at full speed. Those who fled, whether they were summoners, summoning beasts, or Budo masters, all screamed and were minced. The blood whirled and splashed in the strong wind. On the ground were the badly mutilated limbs, which was too horrible to look at. In an instant, the 10-odd summoners above 7 stars, warriors above golden level and the first-level blade master all died distressingly, only leaving a pile of slag. Ding Qi convulsed on the ground, because his neck was bitten off by the floating lights. Ding Qi convulsed on the ground. His neck, that had been bitten off by the floating lights, was bleeding like flowing water. He opened his eyes widely and saw a snow-white figure coming slowly towards him from the radiance of the floating lights. The man held a sword condensed by invisible wind in his right hand. Fear gradually showed up in Ding Qi's eyes. He looked at the man in white and the sword. With blood in his mouth, he vaguely spat out a few words, "You, are," before he had the chance to finish. Feng Lian gently waved his sword, and cut off Ding Qi's body from the waist. The sword in his hand disappeared into a gust of wind. Feng Lian looked at the corpse indifferently. A cold bloody expression showed on his gorgeous face. Finished. The impatient clear voice of Huang Beiyue came from behind. The coldness on Feng Lian's face immediately melted away. A soft, gentle and smiling light appeared in his ice-purple eyes. "Don't come here. You will feel uncomfortable by seeing it," Feng Lian said. He turned around and walked to Huang Beiyue with a smile. Seeing Huang Beiyue's lovely cold face, he smiled widely and apologized, "Sorry to have kept you waiting." Huang Beiyue snorted. She turned a blind eye to his deliberate care and flattery, and walked away. A while after they had left, the surrounding floating lights soon ate up the ugly pile of blood and meat. Therefore, they turned towards Ding Qi, who was cut into 2. When the glittering floating lights moved toward Ding Qi, a dark fatality suddenly hit them. The floating lights all turned into ashes immediately. A black figure came quietly to Ding Qi. It looked young like a teenager, wearing a very delicate black cloak. The cloak didn't cover his face, which was gloomy, strange and a bit unnaturally pale. If it were not for the weird paleness, it must be a handsome face. His eyes were big, deep and dark, which was a little frightening. If you look carefully, you would find that the pupils were static. That is to say, he couldn't see anything. Although he was blind, his actions were not messy. He squatted down beside Ding Qi, took his pale hand out of the cloak and put it above Ding Qi's head. He opened his mouth slightly. His voice was as a cold spring, without any fluctuation. He said in a strange and quiet way, "Body grows, spirit gathers, soul comes back." Ding Qi, who had already died, suddenly turned his eyeballs. His mouth was bleeding. He was alive again. But the great pain of being cut off into 2 parts made him scream painfully. His internal organs and blood flew out of his body, which was horrible and disgusting. Ding Qi slowly lifted up his wandering eyes. He saw the weird black figure in front of him and a light flashed in his eyes. Ding Qi said, "Mo, prestigious Mo Lian, who did this?" The black figure asked coldly. Xiao Luo City and red hair. Prestigious Hong Lian, Ding Qi said painfully and begged, "Save me, painful." Mo Lian's pale eyes turned slightly. Painful, Ding Qi cried bitterly. He had been split into 2 by Feng Lian's sword. He died but it didn't hurt so much. Now he was revived by Lian's spiritualism. The fact that his body was incomplete was incredibly painful. Lian slightly tilted his head. A strange and cruel smile gradually showed up in his pale face. He said, "If you are painful, then die." He lifted his hand gently. Countless floating lights suddenly rushed down to Ding Qi's body. Ding Qi screamed but was instantly gnawed off even the bones. Lian stood up, pulled the cloak, and turned his head. He seemed to look at the deep in the forest. Below his left eye, there was a black platycodon tattoo, which was very strange on the pale face. Red hair, Hong Lian, Beiyue Royal Kingdom. Huang Beiyue, who had already reached the edge of the floating forest, suddenly stopped. A hint of ominous feeling welled in her heart. Feng Lian took a quick step and looked back at her. He asked, "What's wrong?" "Those people. Have you killed them all?" Huang Beiyue squinted slightly. Feng Lian smiled and said, "You don't believe me. You'd better kill them all." Huang Beiyue glanced at him and strode forward. As they approached the camp of Lingyang College, suddenly they heard sounds coming from ahead. "Let's do it here." He. "No one will come here. It's safe." He, "Okay, just here. We are pretty lucky. This chick is really a beauty." He. A few wretched laughters came forward. It was from the mercenaries of the Four Seas mercenary group. From their voice, it could tell that they were doing something evil and it must be related to Lingyang College. Although Huang Beiyue was indifferent even if Lingyang College was destroyed, because it had nothing to do with her, she hated those people of the Four Seas mercenary group. They can do evil, but it's unlucky if they do evil in front of her. Huang Beiyue thought. Her eyes were getting colder and colder. She held the pure gold spirit tiger tightly and was about to go over. At this time, a woman's scream came from among the mercenaries. "What are you doing? Go away. You dirty rubbish, go away. Do you know who I am?" The woman cried. The shrill voice sounded familiar. Huang Beiyue stunned and stopped. Feng Lian wanted to keep up but was stopped by her. The wretched mercenaries smiled and said, "Little beauty, don't be afraid. We will make you comfortable. You will like it." He, "That's right. Believe in our skills." He, "Come on, give me a kiss, piss off." The woman screamed in anger. Obviously she wanted to run away, but was pulled by several people. How dare you? We have seen so many women like you. Even though now you refuse, later you will beg us to fuck you. A man said. Heavenly Snow Cat. Come out. The woman shouted. The snow-white heavenly snow cat showed up in the forest. It roared and stared at these people fiercely. "Oh, we didn't expect you are a summoner." "Ah, I like female summoners best. She's a 3-star summoner." "Ah, great." Yes. I'm a summoner. So you'd better piss off right now. Or I will beat the shit out of you, said the woman. Seeing the heavenly snow cat, Huang Beiyue didn't doubt anymore. The woman caught was Xiao Yun. Feng Lian looked at her and whispered, "It seems that the person is from the mansion of eldest princess." "Yes. It's my second elder sister." Huang Beiyue licked her lips and said. She retreated to the forest and squatted with the pure gold spirit tiger in hug. "Yes. It's my second elder sister." Huang Beiyue licked her lips and said. She retreated to the forest and squatted with the pure gold spirit tiger in hug. Then she waved to Feng Lian and said, "Come here." Won't you help her? Feng Lian went over, squatted beside her and asked. Through the dense plant leaves, he could see the huge heavenly snow cat over there. Huang Beiyue raised her eyebrows and said, My sister is a 3-star summoner. She is so powerful that she won't need my help. Her words were full of sarcasm. Feng Lian looked at her and thought, what on earth did she suffer at home that makes her so indifferent to kinship? Meow, the heavenly snow cat suddenly screamed bitterly. It flew backward and fell to the ground heavily. Where he had been standing, there was a patterned Thunder Attribute Spotted Leopard squatting down with dignity. Thunder Attribute Spotted Leopard, a level 10 spiritual beast. Xiao Yun's face went pale. She retreated step by step and said, You, don't act recklessly. Do you know who I am? My father is Xiao Yuanqing, husband of the eldest princess. Husband of the eldest princess. You are the daughter of eldest princess Huiwen, Princess Beiyue, asked by a mercenary. Xiao Yun didn't know what happened, so she dared not answer hastily. She stunned and the mercenary continued maliciously, My eldest brother died distressingly because of eldest princess Huiwen, which I haven't revenge for. Now her daughter is in my hand. What a retribution. Hearing this, Xiao Yun was afraid. But she was also glad for not having pretended to be Princess Beiyue. She had thought eldest Princess Huiwen was beloved and supported by the people, having no enemies at all. Now, it seemed not exactly so. I ain't the daughter of eldest Princess Huiwen. How could my mother be such a shameless bitch? It was her that took my father away and made my mother the little concubine, I the Shu daughter. I hate her. Xiao Yun said hurriedly. The mercenary said coldly, You want to cheat me? I'm not a fool. It's true. I'm not Princess Beiyue. Princess Beiyue also came with us this time. If you want to take revenge, I can lead you to her. Xiao Yun said hurriedly. As long as she could survive, she could do anything. Oh, Princess Beiyue also comes. The mercenary said. He touched his chin and began to think about it. People surrounded said, Hualao Lu, what's wrong with you? We caught this chick for nothing. Are you leaving her alone? How could that be? Hualao Lu laughed wretchedly and said, Chick, how is Princess Beiyue like? Is she as beautiful as you are? Yes. She is much more beautiful than I am. At this moment, Xiao Yun completely abandoned her sense of superiority to Huang Beiyue. She exerted all her compliments on describing Huang Beiyue. Everyone in Linhuai City knows that Princess Beiyue looks exactly the same as eldest Princess Huiwen. Eldest Princess Huiwen was a top beauty in Cardi Continent when she was young. How could Princess Beiyue be worse? Hearing these words, Hualao Lu said to his men in a lewd way, So, do you want to enjoy the taste of that noble princess? These mercenaries were born to act outrageously and ferociously, having no sense of rules or laws. On hearing that there was an even prettier woman, they couldn't help but itch for actions. Hualao Lu, even though there is a prettier Princess Beiyue, we can't let this chick go. Princess Beiyue should be no more than 12 or 13 years old. How could she be sexier than this stunner? A mercenary walked to the side of Hualao Lu and said in a low voice. Hualao Lu answered with a sinister smile, Sure. I won't let this chick go. After we catch Princess Beiyue, we can enjoy them together. Then Hualao Lu raised his head and said, You said you can lead us to Princess Beiyue. Why should we believe you? Xiao Yun answered viciously, I won't cheat you. I hate that girl too. She robbed everything that should be mine. To be honest, eldest Princess Huiwen died because my mother poisoned her medicine. I also wish Huang Beiyue could die sooner. TSK. I see. Little beauty, both you and your mother are devils. But I like it. Huolaolu said and pinched the white soft cheek of Xiao Yun with a sinister smile. Xiao Yun forced herself to smile. Hearing their conversation, Huang Beiyue, hidden not far away, broke a branch with anger. A cold look immediately showed up in her eyes. Xiao Yun, you are risking your neck. Who is there? The noise she made was heard by those alerted mercenaries right away. These people were summoners and Budo masters, all were superior members of 4C's mercenary group. Huolaolu gave them a glance. 2 mercenaries immediately walked to the forest. They found us. Let's go. Feng Lian tapped her on the shoulder. But Huang Beiyue suddenly stood up. She put the baby pure gold spirit tiger into the arms of Feng Lian and strode out. Second sis. We just separated for a short while, why did you come here? Huang Beiyue said coldly. She glanced at those mercenaries indifferently. A group of scumbags. Xiao Yun was stunned on seeing her. She thought quickly in her mind that Huang Beiyue was a mere golden warrior level summoner. What could she do facing these mercenaries? Now that Huang Beiyue was useless, she could only push Huang Beiyue into the fire. Even if she were to die, she would drag Huang Beiyue down to hell. It is her. She is Princess Beiyue. Xiao Yun pointed at her and shouted to Huolaolu. Huolaolu was a bear-like tall strong man. The level 10 thunder attribute spotted leopard appeared just now was his summoner beast. You are indeed a stunning beauty. Huolaolu looked at Huang Beiyue up and down. There was an undisguised sleaze and lust in his sights. Paw! With the huge sound, Huolaolu flew backward and hit on the tree behind immediately. His tall strong body even broke the branch from the middle. You can imagine how great the pain Huolaolu suffered. Oh, falling from the tree, Huolaolu immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. His summoning beast, the spotted leopard, seeing her master being beaten so heavily, went furious at once. She roared at Huang Beiyue and was about to attack her. Howl! The baby beast roared at a low voice, weak and soft, like a baby murmuring after waking up. The spotted leopard which was about to attack Huang Beiyue was stunned on hearing the roar. Then she retreated quickly. Retreated, and retreated. The spotted leopard who was about to attack Huang Beiyue was stunned upon hearing the voice. Then she retreated quickly. Retreated, and retreated. At last, she even retreated to the side of Huolaolu, cowering and shivering. Not long after, she ran into the spiritual beast's space to hide. The baby pure gold spirit tiger was awake. No wonder the spotted leopard was frightened to death. In front of a mythological beast, what could a minor level 10 spiritual beast do? Although its the appearance could be hidden, the breath of a mythological beast was difficult to hide. Now that the pure gold spirit tiger had woken up, she'd better teach him how to pretend to be an ordinary tiger and not to threaten humans and spiritual beasts with the breath of mythological beasts casually. Feng Lian walked out with the pure gold spirit tiger in arms. He stared at the injured Huolaolu coldly. His white clothes were still waving. Obviously, he used fatality just now. Those mercenaries were frightened by Huolaolu's injury. After all, Huolaolu was the most powerful one among them but was beaten such seriously by a single blow. How could they survive? Besides, though they didn't know the man in white, he seemed really powerful. Was the baby tiger in his arms his summoner beast? The mercenaries all retreated to the side of Huolaolu. One said, Huolaolu, that the man is not ordinary. We'd better run away. Run away. Before Huolaolu responded, Huang Beiyue had said with a cold smile, Do you think you can run away from me? Those mercenaries were not afraid of Huang Beiyue because they didn't see her attack. One said with disdain, We people of 4 Seas mercenary group are all masters. Our boss Yuan is not an easy man. That big beard man dared insult our nanny country. Sooner or later, I will kill him. But before that, I will kill you. Huang Beiyue said. Then she turned to Feng Lian and said, Stay out of this. I see. Feng Lian said with a smile. The coldness on his face was slighted and melted away. He attacked because of Hualalio's unbridled sights on her, which made him unhappy. This little girl was highly self-esteemed and conceited. Therefore, when she was giving other people a lesson, he would definitely not disturb, in case it might make her angry again. These mercenaries scorned to her words and one said, A little girl like you. Before the mercenary finished his words, Huang Beiyue had come to him and punched him without mercy. The mercenary immediately flew away, with teeth and bloods beaten out. Huang Beiyue glanced at these stunned mercenaries coldly. Suddenly, a white ice feather appeared in her hand. Before these mercenaries realized what had happened, the ice feather had swept past. Immediately, several bitter screams raised one after another. All these mercenaries, including the heavily injured Hualao Lu, were blown away because of the sweep. Damn! This girl is too powerful. Those mercenaries struggled up from the ground and began to summon their summoning beasts at once. However, with a mythological beast, the pure gold spirit tiger here, no spiritual beast dared to come out. The summoners were all surprised and frightened. The other Budo masters didn't need to summon spiritual beasts. So they showed their weapons directly and were about to fight with Huang Beiyue. Huang Beiyue laughed and snorted, throwing an egg against a rock. You guys overestimate yourselves. 3 Budo masters rushed forward together. But Huang Beiyue just stood there stilly. The corner of her mouth was slightly lifted, showing a faint cold smile. Xiao Yun, who stood behind the crowd, suddenly screamed loudly and kneeled down because of cold feet. Those Budo masters were all stunned. Before they could realize what had happened, the summoners behind them had been crying, Ice Spirit Bird. The ice spirit bird of the 5 spiritual beasts. Help! She is a summoner of no less than 9 stars. These summoners all scrambled backward to escape. Pitifully, those Budo masters who had rushed forward bravely were swallowed to the belly by the ice spirit bird before they could make it to turn back and see the legendary ice attribute ice spirit bird of the 5 spirit beasts. Don't let anyone leave. Huang Beiyue ordered calmly. Yes, master. The ice spirit bird answered. She just ate a few people as an appetizer and wanted more. She flapped the ice wings and chased up to those fleeing summoners. It was like they were playing the chasing game of cat and mouse. Not until the summoners were desperate to commit suicide, did the ice spirit bird swallow them one by one. Since when did the ice spirit bird become so naughty? Huang Beiyue watched for a while, then turned around and went to Xiao Yun. Xiao Yun had been so frightened that she couldn't support herself standing. She kneeled on the ground and saw Huang Beiyue coming. She felt it hard to breathe and her heart was about to leap out of her mouth in fear. Third sis. I said so just as an expediency. Xiao Yun saw the ice feather in Huang Beiyue's hand. She felt helpless and desperate. By now, if she hadn't understood what had happened, she would have been a real fool. Huang Beiyue is not useless nor golden warrior level. Instead, she is. She is the 9-star summoner with the ice spirit bird, Shi Tian. No wonder. Mother had hoped Shi Tian could accept her daughter as a disciple, so she had asked people of Mercenary Union to hand over many valuable gifts to Master Shi Tian. No wonder those gifts were all returned as they were, every time. They used to think that it was because masters like Shi Tian were all arrogant. So it was nothing even though she refused those gifts and declined to accept her as a disciple. But now, she understood. How funny she and her mother had been. They had gone for a loser who they had never looked up. Huang Beiyue must have been laughing at them. Not only laughing at them, she also had set all kinds of traps and tricks, and framed them up. Thinking of these, Xiaoyun couldn't help but gnash her teeth with hatred. However, thinking of the fact that Huang Beiyue was Shi Tian, she also felt horrible. As an expediency, Huang Beiyue stood in front of Xiaoyun and looked down at her. She said lightly, "If I hadn't heard the expediency of second sis today, I'm afraid that I would never know my second sis hates me so much." "No, I'm not." Xiaoyun hurriedly shook her head and explained. "You and I are sisters with the same blood. How could I hate you?" "Forget all those words. But I have heard it and can never forget it. Especially the words that my mother died because of the poison sent by concubine Xue. No." Xiaoyun screamed. She kneeled forward despite the cold feet and said, "Third sis, it's not true. No matter how bold I and my mother are, we don't dare to murder the royals." Huang Beiyue turned her head down and a deep disgust showed up in her cold eyes. She said, "Xiaoyun, pick up your backbone. I really despise you for that." Xiaoyun was stunned. She cried with tears, I didn't. I didn't." Huang Beiyue kicked Xiaoyun away. Then she squatted down and looked at her coldly and said, "Second sis, do you know why you could win that ice feather from the ice spirit bird in that auction? Because a summoner can know all the places and actions of the past from her or his summoning spiritual beast. Do you think you can deceive me about all the things you and concubine Xue have done?" Xiaoyun was frozen from head to toe. She thought of the auction. No wonder there was a 9-star summoner auctioning the feather of her spiritual beast. Everything was intentionally planned. Huang Beiyue dug a pit for her. She gave the ice feather to her intentionally, making Xiaoyun think that she was more powerful. But in actuality, Huang Beiyue was keeping watch on her. "Huang Beiyue, you are so vicious," whispered Xiaoyun. "Sure. Or how can I fight against you?" Huang Beiyue smiled slightly and said, "Anyway, you and concubine Xue did take a lot of time to fight against. I enjoyed that. But now, don't blame me for my revenge. You know me, I'm ruthless and merciless, and I'll return 10 times of my sufferings onto my enemies." What do you want to do? Aren't you afraid that people will know you are such a vicious person?" Xiaoyun said while she retreated step by step. Finally, she turned to Feng Lian for help. The 9th prince of Beiyao country was said to be the most kind and gentle man in the world. He wouldn't fold his hands and see her die. As long as he could offer a little help, she would survive. Pitifully, how could Xiaoyun know that behind the gentle appearance of Feng Lian, it was a heart colder than anyone's? He touched the soft fur on the head of the baby pure gold spirit tiger tenderly. With a warm smile hanging on his face, Feng Lian looked at them as if watching a play of deep sisterhood. "Princey." "Prince," Xiaoyun was begging. Huang Beiyue went forward, grabbed her collar and said fiercely, "You can only blame your bad luck. I know you were caught here by those people to humiliate. Now that they failed, I will do it in another way. Do you know what is living worse than death?" Xiaoyun shook her head and cried bitterly, "I don't know, you don't know." "Good. You will know it very soon." Huang Beiyue smiled coldly. She turned to the ice spirit bird and asked, "Where is the spotted leopard?" All those mercenaries had been eaten except for Hualaolu. His spiritual beast, the spotted leopard, was still hiding in the spiritual beast space. The ice spirit bird went to the side of Hulaulu. She dragged over the frightened and dying man and pulled out the spotted leopard from the spiritual beast space. Facing the ice spirit bird, the level 10 spiritual beast was like a small shrimp. She cowered on the ground and trembled with fear. Huang Beiyue threw Xiao Yun to them and said with a smile, "Tell her to send my second sis to the Four Seas mercenary group across the river. Just call it a big gift from Hulaulu." "No!" Xiao Yun cried bitterly. She rushed over to pull the legs of Huang Beiyue and begged, "Third sis, I know my fault. I know my mother's fault. Please. Forgive me. I won't dare do it again. Second sis, stop begging me. Even though you break your head, I will never forgive you. Do you think I didn't know about your murder of my mother until today? I knew about it long ago. The reason why I didn't do anything to you was that I was thinking about how on earth I can make you live worse than death." Xiao Yun opened her frightened eyes widely. She now knew begging was useless. Suddenly, a cold cruel light flashed through her eyes and the ice feather suddenly appeared in her hand. She shouted, "Now that you are heartless, I will also be ruthless. You go to hell." Huang Beiyue kicked Xiao Yun away. Then she squatted down to look at her coldly and said, "Second sis, do you know why you could win that ice feather of the ice spirit bird in that auction? Because the summoner can know all the places and actions of the part from her or his summoning spiritual beast. Do you think you can deceive me about all the things you and concubine Shui have done?" Xiao Yun was frozen from head to foot. She thought of the auction. No wonder there was a 9-star summoner auctioning the feather of her spiritual beast. Everything was intentionally planned. Huang Beiyue dug a pit for her. She gave the ice feather to her intentionally, making Xiao Yun thought that she was more powerful. But actually, Huang Beiyue was to watch her. "Huang Beiyue, you are vicious," whispered Xiao Yun. "Sure. Or how can I fight against you?" Huang Beiyue smiled slightly and said, "Anyway, you and concubine Shui did make me take time to fight against. I enjoyed that. But now, don't blame me on my revenge. You know me, I'm ruthless and merciless, and I'll return 10 times of my sufferings to my enemies." What do you want to do? Aren't you afraid that people will know you are such vicious?" Xiao Yun said while she retreated step by step. Finally, she turned to Feng Lian for help. The 9th prince of Beiyao country was said to be the most kind and gentle man in the world. He wouldn't fold his hands and see her die. As long as he could offer a little help, she would survive. Pitifully, how could Xiao Yun know that behind the gentle appearance of Feng Lian, it was a heart colder than anyone? He touched the soft fur on the head of the baby pure gold spirit tiger tenderly. With a warm smile hanging on his face, Feng Lian looked at them as if watching a play of deep sisterhood. "Princey." "Prince," Xiao Yun was begging. Huang Beiyue went forward, grabbed her collar and said fiercely, "You can only blame your bad luck. I know you were caught here by those people to humiliate. Now that they failed, I will do it in another way. Do you know what is living worse than death?" Xiao Yun shook her head and cried bitterly, "I don't know, you don't know." "Good. You will know it very soon." Huang Beiyue smiled coldly. She turned to the ice spirit bird and asked, "Where is the spotted leopard?" All those mercenaries had been eaten except for Hulaulu. His spiritual beast, the spotted leopard, was still hiding in the spiritual beast space. The ice spirit bird went to the side of Hulaulu. She dragged over the frightened and dying man and pulled out the spotted leopard from the spiritual beast space. Facing the ice spirit bird, the level 10 spiritual beast was like a small shrimp. She cowered on the ground and trembled with fear. Huang Beiyue threw Xiao Yun to them and said with a smile, "Tell her to send my second sis to the Four Seas mercenary group across the river. Just call it a big gift from Hualaulu. No. Xiao Yun cried bitterly. She rushed over to pull the legs of Huang Beiyue and begged, "Third sis, I know my fault. I know my mother's fault. Please. Forgive me. I won't dare do it again. Second sis, stop begging me. Even though you break your head, I will never forgive you. Do you think I didn't know about your murder of my mother until today? I knew that long ago. The reason why I didn't do anything to you was that I was thinking about how on earth can I make you live worse than death." Xiao Yun stared her frightened eyes widely. She now knew begging was useless. Suddenly, a cold cruel light flashed through her eyes and the ice feather suddenly appeared in her hand. She shouted, "Now that you are heartless, I will also be ruthless. You go to hell." After the words, Xiao Yun condensed a handful of blizzard with all her ice vitality. She quickly pushed it towards Huang Beiyue. Obviously, she had prepared it for a long time, or it couldn't be this fast. When a 3-star summoner uses all her ice vitality to perish together, the power of the attack must be huge. Huang Beiyue frowned slightly in thought. She is totally the same as concubine Shui when it comes to refusing to give up until all hope is gone. Truly troublesome woman. A crazy light glittered in Xiao Yun's eyes. It would be better to die with Huang Beiyue here than to be thrown to the Four Seas mercenary group while being humiliated to death. The blizzard had already been pushed towards Huang Beiyue's back. Xiao Yun shouted at a low voice, "Break." Yet before she could finish uttering a word, the person who was tightly grasped in her hand had suddenly disappeared from sight. Xiao Yun was stunned, yet the blizzard suddenly exploded. She screamed and flew backward, falling heavily on the ground. She managed to support herself up, but she still spat out some blood. Xiao Yun raised her head and saw Huang Beiyue standing where she had just stood. Xiao Yun spat out more blood. She couldn't believe it. Why was Huang Beiyue not injured at all? Well, she not only drained all her vitality, but also damaged her dantian. It would be extremely hard for her to condense vitality in the future. In Budo, there is a special martial method named Mobiliarbis, I call it teleport, which can only be learned by cultivators above Blade Master level. Second sis, you are too weak to kill me, mocked Huang Beiyue. Xiao Yun cried out, "No. Why are you better than me at everything? Why? I've worked so hard for the past 10-odd years, but still, I can't do as well as you. Why? No reason. Just as concubine Shui said, don't blame me. If you have to blame anyone, then blame yourself for your bad fate." Huang Beiyue said mockingly. She didn't say more but waved to the ice spirit bird and handed Xiao Yun to her. Then she turned around and walked to Feng Liani to pick the pure gold spirit tiger over. "Huang Beiyue. You will receive your retribution. You must have your retribution. I'll curse you. Curse you." Ah! The shriek of Xiao Yun became more and more distant. Huang Beiyue slightly raised her lips. Retribution. If there was a retribution, Xiao Yun and concubine Shui should most definitely receive it before her. Even though she had severely punished Xiao Yun, Huang Beiyue didn't know why, but she felt extremely heavy-hearted. She felt it was unfair for the eldest princess and for the previous Huang Beiyue. Why were they plotted against by such people? Especially the eldest princess. What an unparalleled and unsurpassed beauty. Pitifully, she was killed by the poison of a rat. The pure gold spirit tiger who had just woken up was looking at her curiously. His big black eyes were on her and his body was snuck tightly into her arms. It seemed that he really liked her. Yet Huang Beiyue didn't like being too close to other people or animals. Although the baby beast was cute, she pulled him out from her arms. The baby pure gold spirit tiger moaned discontentedly and turned to look at Feng Lian pitifully, as if he was complaining. Feng Lian glanced at Huang Beiyue. He felt a little distressed seeing her frosty complexion. He knew that she had just dealt with her own sister, and that she had learned the secret of her mother's death. She must feel bad. In big families, a lot of things were sad and helpless. He patted the head of the baby pure gold spirit tiger and said with a smile, "Don't be naughty. She is in a bad mood." The baby pure gold spirit tiger tilted his little head. The baby pure gold spirit tiger tilted his little head and thought about the words. Then he turned to Huang Beiyue and licked her hand. Finally, he no longer moved but lied in her arms quietly. Huang Beiyue held the pure gold spirit tiger and said nothing. But there was a trace of gloom in her slightly pursed lips. A light flashed through the eyes of Feng Lian. After a brief silence, Feng Lian patted her shoulder and said softly, "I know you are strong. But if you are sad, don't hold it in your heart." Huang Beiyue startled for a moment. Then she looked up at him. Nothing changed in her dark and indifferent eyes, but the sense of alienation became a little lighter. Was he concerned about her? Although he said in a casual way, Huang Beiyue could tell that he was not pretending. She was arrogant, but she was not too arrogant to confuse right and wrong. Who was really good to her and who was pretending to be good to her? Usually she could tell them apart very clearly. "Thanks for your concern." She slightly raised her beautiful lips and said. This was the best attitude she had ever shown to him. Feng Lian couldn't help laughing. A hint of doting appeared in his purple eyes unconsciously. He said, "You have a beautiful smile. Why don't you smile more often?" Huang Beiyue's face went cold again. Hearing the praise of a male, she didn't feel as shy as ordinary girls did, but only felt that such words seemed to go beyond the general relationship between her and him. "I don't like to smile in front of people I don't like," Huang Beiyue said coldly. Seeing Feng Lian's frustrated expression, she felt a bit joyful for no reason. "Prince Yi, do you think I'm too cruel just now?" Huang Beiyue asked. "All I know is that what she did before must be more than that." "So you hate her?" Feng Lian said with a faint smile. "Cruel?" He didn't feel it cruel at all. If it had been him and someone had killed his mother, he would have broken him to pieces. Don't even think of peace for his children or grandchildren. Huang Beiyue had no expression on her face, but she was a little relieved. However, she immediately reminded herself that Feng Lian was from Xiaoluo City, a merciless and cold-blooded place. Naturally, Feng Lian could never be a kind-hearted person. The baby beast will become attached to the first person who he contacts with. Obviously, he likes you very much. Feng Lian didn't want to let her continue to be sad about Xiao Yun's issue, so he started a new topic. Huang Beiyue looked at the baby pure gold spirit tiger. Her complexion became a little softer. This little guy was really lovable and sensible. This is called a nestling complex, which means he will take the first person he sees on opening his eyes as his parent. Huang Beiyue said. But the first person he saw was me. Feng Lian laughed. Huang Beiyue frowned slightly and said in a bit competitive tone, "But he is closer to me." The baby pure gold spirit tiger raised his head and rubbed against the hand of Huang Beiyue joyfully. Then he turned to Feng Lian and whined fawningly. He looked really happy. Feng Lian said with a smile, "Maybe he thinks we're his parents." The baby pure gold spirit tiger seemed to understand what they said and immediately purred to agree. Huang Beiyue's face went black. She said coldly, "Nonsense. This is my mythological beast, and it has nothing to do with you." Then she strode ahead with the pure gold spirit tiger in arms. She secretly decided to keep the pure gold spirit tiger away from Feng Lian in the future. Feng Lian was the first person he saw. More or less, he would have some nestling complex towards Feng Lian. Then she strode ahead with the pure gold spirit tiger in arms. She secretly decided to keep the pure gold spirit tiger away from Feng Lian in the future. Feng Lian was the first person he saw. More or less, he would have some nestling complex towards Feng Lian. But as long as they were separated in the future, the baby beast would gradually forget him. Feng Lian looked at her back and smiled for a while before he followed up. Along the way, Huang Beiyue was teaching the pure gold spirit tiger how to hide his breath of a mythological beast. He could understand human language and was smart. Therefore, it didn't take too much time to learn that. He slowly hid the breath and pretended to be an ordinary tiger. The moonlight sprinkled through the dense branches and leaves in the falling moon valley, quietly shining on the row of tents by the river. The campsite of Lingyang College was still peaceful at the moment. The moon hung in the sky. Students and teachers were asleep. Only the patrol teams were on guard. The fire in the brazier was beeping. The flame jumped and fell, flickering on the faces of the patrols. At this time, no one noticed that several black figures were quietly floating up from the river. They didn't make any noise. The Budo masters in the front rushed up quickly and knocked the several patrolling students nearby to the ground like waterfowls catching fish. Then they beat them to unconsciousness. Squeak, they imitated the birds' chirps perfectly. After a few calls, several people came up from the river. Countless black figures secretly sneaked into the camp from the weakest guarded side. Huang Beiyue and Feng Lian stood at a high place. So they saw everything that happened in the camp clearly under the moonlight. They did come. Huang Beiyue snorted coldly. Feng Lian said with a smile, Elder Nangong had expected it, and had already made preparations secretly. There would be no accidents for students. No accidents for Princess Inya either. Don't worry. These people are so arrogant that they dared to speak rudely in the daytime. Now it's time to teach them a lesson. Huang Beiyue licked the corner of her lips, showing a bloodthirsty smile. When Feng Lian saw her like this, he knew that the girl had an idea. He smiled and asked, "What are you going to do?" The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the Oriole behind. With that, Huang Beiyue turned around with the baby pure gold spirit tiger in arms, and quickly entered the forest. From another direction, she sneaked into the camp of the Four Seas mercenary group, which was out almost in full force at the moment. These bandits, although in the name of mercenary group, were more active than anyone when there were evil things or when robbing. No one was willing to stay and watch the camp, for fear that they would not rob good things if they didn't go. It was just what she wanted. Huang Beiyue sneaked in easily. She just came here once. With her cautious character, she had already been familiar with everything here. She walked slowly along several tents. As she walked, she poured some plant powder on the ground. Until she walked around the whole camp and almost poured out all the powder, Huang Beiyue smiled and clapped her hands. Feng Lian slightly smelled in the air. Suddenly he smiled and said, "This is the peacock grass." "It's not any peacock grass. It's male peacock grass," Huang Beiyue said with a smile. Peacock grass was a special herb recorded in Scroll of Refined Medicines. It could be divided into female and male. Although belonging to the same kind, male peacock grass could stop bleeding, generate muscle, and treat many sudden diseases. It was an essential herb for refining primary elixirs. However, the female peacock grass was totally different. When it bloomed, the fragrance it sent out would make the spiritual beasts crazy and rush in, which was a bit similar to the aphrodisiac for spiritual beasts. Female and male peacock grasses were difficult to tell apart because they looked exactly the same from appearance. Therefore, many black-hearted businessmen would sell the female peacock grass as the male one to laymen. The first time when Huang Beiyue asked Dong Ling to buy the herbs for refining myogenic pill, she bought many female peacock grasses for not familiar with the herbs and lost a lot of money, which made Huang Beiyue feel pitiful and regretful. Luckily, this time, the female peacock grass would come into use. In a moment, the people of the Four Seas mercenary group would come back without anything in hand, while something was waiting for them. TSK. It must be very interesting. Feng Lian looked at her smug expression and shook his head. It was a little scary to offend this girl. Let's go. After doing the bad things, Huang Beiyue had no intention of staying. She was about to leave quietly. Who are you? At this moment, someone suddenly shouted. Huang Beiyue was startled. She looked back and saw a young white man coming out from a humble tent in the dark. She knew this person. When she just arrived here, she heard that he was quarreling with Boss Yuan. His name seemed to be Luo Chun. He had a little conscience for advising Boss Yuan not to fight against the students of Lingyang College. As a result, he was scolded and humiliated by Boss Yuan. Through the flashing flame, Luo Chun saw the man and the woman. The man in pure white clothes with monstrous purple eyes that looked exceedingly stunning. The woman looked a little younger, but also delicate and beautiful. She must be a beauty which would overthrow states and cities when she grew up. He couldn't help but wonder who they were. He had never seen these two people. Were they secretly kidnapped from the opposite Lingyang College by Boss Yuan? Just now, he heard that Hualao Lu tied up a female student and took her to some place. He was so sad. Humiliating a pure student. What's the difference between these bastards and bandits? Thinking that these two people were also kidnapped students, Luo Chun's expression was a little softer. He looked around and found nobody else, so he said, "Are you kidnapped by them? Don't be afraid. They're not here now. I'll let you go. But you can't go from the front, or they'll come back and run into you later." Huang Beiyue and Feng Lian were stunned at the same time. Then they understood that the white man was kind-hearted and thought that they were kidnapped students. So why not take this mistake and make the best of it? Let him take them out and save this poor man, so as not to leave him here and be eaten by the spiritual beasts. Thank you very much for that. Huang Beiyue followed his words and thanked him. Feng Lian also nodded slightly. It's nothing. Luo Chun smiled kindly. He turned around and led them out of the camp from another direction. He added, "All men among the Four Seas should be brothers. This is the mission of our Four Seas mercenary group." Hearing this, Huang Beiyue couldn't help but feel funny. How could such a bandit-like mercenary group be matched with "all men among the Four Seas should be brothers"? Luo Chun walked in front of them and looked back at them sheepishly, saying, "In fact, the real Four Seas mercenary group is not like this. The people led by Boss Yuan were originally a group of desperados. After the Four Seas mercenary group's accident, they all followed Boss Yuan to make a living." "What happened to your Four Seas mercenary group?" asked Huang Beiyue intentionally. Just now outside the tent, she heard that Luo Chun and Boss Yuan were arguing. It seemed that something happened to the head of the Four Seas mercenary group, which led to the split of the whole mercenary group. Luo Chun, who was walking in front of them, paused a little and said in a slightly astringent voice, "My uncle, Luo Ju, is the head of the Four Seas mercenary group. A month ago, he met Hong Lian from Guangyao Hall and was seriously injured. He has not recovered so far. I'm afraid it will be difficult for him to be respected in Dongli country in the future. When it came to his uncle, Luo Chun became completely depressed. He was raised by his uncle since childhood. Now his uncle was in trouble, but he couldn't help it all. All he could blame was his weakness. If he had more talent, he would not have watched the Four Seas mercenary group be torn and fragmented. Hearing Guang Yao Hall, Huang Beiyue and Feng Liani both became slightly heavy. What was Guang Yao Hall going to do this time? They sent people out frequently to deal with masters from all countries. It seemed that they were looking for something. A few days ago, Sima Guiyan, the invincible general of Nanny country, was killed, which shocked the emperor. Sima Guiyan's death meant that there were few people in the whole Nanny country could fight against the mysterious Hong Lian. Although the emperor tried his best to conceal the death of Sima Guiyan, still the news was leaked out among the folk, making the public panic. Why were they dealing with your uncle? Asked Feng Liani. Luo Chun shook his head and answered, my uncle didn't tell me, but I'm afraid it's a big secret. Huang Beiyue relieved secretly. Fortunately, Luo Ju didn't tell him. But anyway, Luo Ju should not know what beast without boundaries was. They had been far away from the camp of the Four Seas mercenary group. So Luo Chun stopped and said, you can leave from here. Don't go back to your camp for a while. We see. Thank you. Huang Beiyue raised her face and smiled. She smiled so brilliant that made Luo Chun feel dizzy. Before he could realize, he felt a sharp pain on the back neck and all went black. There is a cave in front. Let's drag him in, lest the spiritual beast come and eat him later. Huang Beiyue and Feng Liani carried Luo Chun tandemly into the cave and added a layer of vitality restraint before they left. In the camp of Lingyang College, the lights were all on at the moment. Elder Nangong and several teachers came out and stood in the open space, looking at the other side of the river with dignity. The students also came out together and shouted to the other side, hum. Despicable and shameless. You are not the so-called #1 mercenary group of Dongli country. Hum. I've known for a long time that they have bad intentions. These guys are really bandits and hooligans. Damn. I hope Elder Nangong can teach them a good lesson. How dare they act recklessly on the land of our Nanny country? Do they really think nobody can fight against them in our Nanny country? The incessant swearing went all the way to the other side of the river along the night wind. In the tent opposite, Boss Yuan limped back to the tent with several wounded men. Damn it. They didn't expect a team of students could be so strong. What they didn't know was that the annual experience outside the floating forest was one of the biggest things for Lingyang College. Every year, there would be powerful teachers escorting, and an elder protecting the students all the way. How could they be robbed so easily by a group of bandits? That would be a huge disgrace to Lingyang College. Elder Nangong raised his hand majestically and asked, are all the students here? Princess Ingya walked up to Yuandi's side and said, Elder, Princess Beiyue and Prince Yi are not here. What? Elder Nangong was a little surprised. The wind attribute of Feng Liani was not strong enough for attacking. If he was caught by the Four Seas mercenary group, it would be a bit troublesome. Besides, there was Princess Beiyue. Everyone knows that Princess Beiyue is favored by the Emperor and the Empress Dowager. If she was also caught by the mercenary group, they would be in big trouble. What a difficult situation. At this moment, Xiao Zhongqi also hurried up and said, Elder, my sister Xiao Yun is not here either. Although he was not close to Xiao Yun since childhood, they were brother and sister connected by blood. What's more, now concubine Qin and concubine Shui both had accidents. Naturally, he and Xiao Yun should be more unified. Otherwise, how could they fight against the smart girl Huang Beiyue? Elder, I think it's the people of the Four Seas mercenary group who sneaked in and took them away. Academician Guo said in a gruff voice. Huang Beiyue was his favorite student now. He didn't want anything to go wrong with her. Elder, Xiaoyun said that she was to take a walk. Maybe she hasn't come back yet, said a female student who lived in the same tent with Xiaoyun. Other students also nodded their heads. Xiaoyun is a summoner. If she runs into people from the Four Seas mercenary group, even if she can't beat them, she will make sure to let us know with a sign. Someone said. Haven't I told you not to allow anyone to leave the camp without permission? Academician Lei shouted angrily, which frightened Xiao Zhongqi into shrinking his neck. Elder Nangong pressed his hand and said, calm down. I'll take them back from the mercenary group. With that, Elder Nangong strode to the river. Elder. The clear and gentle voice of Feng Lian came from behind, blowing away their anger and anxiousness like a gust of spring wind. Brother Yi. Beiyue. Princess Ingye turned back and saw them. She happily ran up to them and asked, where have you been? We were worried about you. Huang Beiyue held the little pure gold spirit tiger silently. Feng Lian answered with a gentle smile, just now, Princess Beiyue saw a little tiger running in. She went to see it out of curiosity. So I followed them in case of any danger. It was not far behind the camp. What happened? Princess Ingye also saw the little tiger in Huang Beiyue's arm. Her eyes brightened and said, wow. He's so lovely. Saying so, Princess Ingye reached her hands to touch him. But the little pure gold spirit tiger immediately roared fiercely. Obviously, he wouldn't let other people touch him. Princess Ingye was frightened. She took her hand back and said aggrievedly, he doesn't like me. This little guy seems to have no parents and is a little afraid of human beings. He just needs some time. Feng Lian said extremely considerately and naturally. Princess Ingye blushed a little bit, nodded and said, you are right. When they were talking, Elder Nangong had returned and walked towards them. Seeing they were not injured, he was a little relieved. Princess Beiyue, your second sister Xiaoyun is missing. Have you seen her? Asked Elder Nangong. Huang Beiyue blinked innocently and said, before I left the camp, I saw second sister come out of the tent. It seemed that she went for a walk. She was telling the truth. When she went to the camp of the Four Seas mercenary group, she did see Xiaoyun come out of the tent, wandering and going to some place. At that time, Huang Beiyue was busy searching for information, so she ignored Xiaoyun. Unexpectedly, Xiaoyun ran out of the camp alone and was caught by Hualaolu and his brothers. Who was to blame? Blame her own carelessness for not obeying the rules. So Xiaoyun had been out before people from the Four Seas mercenary group came here. Now that they went back without any advantage, I don't think Xiaoyun would be caught by them. Academician Lei touched his beard and said, Elder, now those spiritual beasts have calmed down. Why not send someone to find Xiaoyun? Maybe she's behind the camping area. Academician Lei's analysis was very reasonable. Those mercenaries all went out to the camp and were busy grabbing things. Who had the time to go outside and catch Xiaoyun? What's more, that was a fact. Xiaoyun had been caught by Hualaolu far before the mercenary group came here. Elder Nangong also felt it was reasonable. So he agreed to send some teachers and high-level students out to search for Xiaoyun. The rest of the people were about to leave in the moonlight and reset at the outskirts of the floating forest. The riots of the spiritual beasts had ceased. If they rush over at night, perhaps they can capture a single spiritual beast. Hearing that they were going to leave here, Huang Beiyue was naturally the happiest. She was worried about the powder of the female peacock grass in the Four Seas mercenary group across the river just now. What if it attracts too many spiritual beasts, and what if they come over to attack them? Huang Beiyue followed the brigade and moved toward the floating forest with the little pure gold spirit tiger in her arms. When they went out the Falling Moon Valley, they heard another huge sound like the earth was shaking. No way. Hasn't the beast riot ceased? Shouted people in the front. It sounds like it's coming from the Falling Moon Valley, said someone. Hearing this, all the people hurriedly looked back. Then they saw groups of spiritual beasts swarming madly to the place where they had camped in the Falling Moon Valley. To be more exact, they were swarming to the campsite of the Four Seas mercenary group across the river. Those tall, huge spiritual beasts directly knocked down trees in the Falling Moon Valley, completely destroying the dense vegetation. The storm ape of Boss Yuan suddenly grew larger, standing in front of the camp with the giant body. He thumped his chest and stamped his feet, roaring fiercely. But there were also many huge crazy spiritual beasts. They flooded up like tides. All of a sudden, the storm ape stepped down. Then, there came constant screams, fluttering over the Falling Moon Valley. Students of Lingyang College looked at each other at a loss, not knowing what happened. Academician Guo widened his eyes and exclaimed, "What a retribution!" Hearing his words, everyone agreed, what a retribution. The mercenary group just wanted to rob them, but now, they are all doomed. Huang Beiyue held the little pure gold spirit tiger and touched the soft hair on his head gently. She smiled slightly and raised her head, running into the purple eyes of Feng Lian. During their short eye contact, they saw the light amusement in each other's eyes. Then they moved their eyes away tacitly as if nothing had happened. Princess Yingye exclaimed, "Luckily, we have left. Otherwise we would have become the food of those spiritual beasts." "You are right," said Huang Beiyue with a smile. "Xiao Yun must be in the Four Seas mercenary group right now. She always had bad luck. This time, perhaps she could not survive." Second Sis, farewell. If you become a ghost and want to seek your revenge, just come and see if you have the chance to defeat me. Elder Nangong stood on a huge stone protruding above the Falling Moon Valley, with his long beard fluttering like a celestial on the river. There was a bloody smell in the air, which seemed to be mixed with a very special fragrance. Elder Nangong sniffed carefully. Suddenly, a sharp light flashed in his eyes, the peacock grass. What's more, it was the female peacock grass that could attract spiritual beasts and made them crazy. By now, Elder Nangong had understood that there must be someone who had sneaked into the Four Seas mercenary group and sprinkled the powder of peacock grass in their camp. That's why such a large number of spiritual beasts were attracted. Who could have come up with such a brilliant idea? It was exactly the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the Oriole behind. Play it secretly. What a wonderful idea. Although it was a bit insidious, there was no need to be moral when fighting against people of the Four Seas mercenary group. After all, they were just taking an eye for an eye. Elder Nangong's eyes swept around the group of students and finally settled on Huang Beiyue, who was quietly following the crowd with the little tiger in her arms. The moonlight was quietly shining on this 12-year-old girl. The light halo around made her as clear and bright as the moonlight. This was the Princess Beiyue from the mansion of the eldest princess. It had always been said that she was rubbish. But on the battle arena of Lingyang College, she defeated and killed Xue Meng, which made her famous and won her the respect of many students. Later, in the skill contest of Lingyang College, she continuously defeated Lin Wani and Lin Zicheng, which was impossible if she only relied on good luck. But no one could be sure if she was really powerful. After all, she had been living for 12 years in the name of a rubbish. Moreover, she had never taken the entrance test of Lingyang College, so it was a mystery hard to solve about her real power. Did she do it this time? Although they didn't get along, Elder Nangong felt vaguely that there was some unspeakable aura of intelligence of this 12-year-old girl. Elder, the 4 C's mercenary group was completely annihilated. Now we have no worries to train outside the floating forest securely. Several teachers went to the side of Elder Nangong and said, "We are really lucky this time. Those crazy beasts came just after we left. Haha, they deserve their bad luck. God is blessing our nanny country," said the teachers. They all laughed happily. Only Elder Nangong stroked his long beard and smiled. He said, "Yes, we are lucky. Let's go. We need to start." Then, the training team of Lingyang College started to move towards their established destination. For many students, this was the first time that they had ever stepped into the dangerous floating forest in legend. Therefore, many students, though they were tired and sleepy, became energetic and looked around curiously. Those floating lights. The mystery in darkness. And the roars of spiritual beasts from afar. Teachers had warned them not to use vitality. No one dared to dice with death. They all suppressed the vitality and walked carefully. After entering the floating forest, Elder Nangong found a relatively safe place based on his experience for them to camp and rest. "I'm so sleepy." As soon as they stopped, many students began to yawn and complain. Even Huang Beiyue felt her eyes sour and her mind drowsy. Not long after they began to set up the tents, Princess Ingye leaned on her shoulder and said wearily, "I'm so sleepy, Beiyue. I'll sleep for a while." Her voice became weaker and weaker. At last, she fell asleep with her head askew. Huang Beiyue couldn't support herself either. It seemed that every cell in her body was shouting about how tired and how sleepy they were. They wanted to rest. Her brain was not clear. Huang Beiyue looked around and found that the 100-odd students and teachers were all sitting lazily, either dozing off or sleeping. Only Elder Nangong and several teachers were resisting against the sleepiness. Huang Beiyue squinted, becoming alert in mind. Something was wrong. How could everyone be so sleepy? It was unreasonable. Due to the strong consciousness of human beings, people hardly felt sleepy when they were excited. This was the first time for these students to have been into the floating forest. They should definitely feel fresh and curious. In a strange place, people's subconscious would explore everything in the outside world. So it was unreasonable that everyone was sleeping unsuspectingly. No, there was something wrong. Huang Beiyue struggled to sit up, but suddenly she felt some broken pictures flash in front of her eyes. It was a picture of her childhood about the day when she had a happy picnic on the hillside with her parents. The little Huang Beiyue was in a bow skirt and was looking at a black snake in the grass. The snake was also looking up at her curiously. She was not afraid at all. She reached her chubby little hand and picked up the snake on her arm. Then she went back to her parents and said with the expectation of being praised, "See. Snake." Her mother screamed out of fright. Her father quickly seized the tender spot of the snake, picked it up and threw it away. Little Huang Beiyue said angrily, "It will get hurt. Darling, it's a snake. It will bite you. Never touch it in the future," said her frightened mother with Huang Beiyue in arms. It won't bite me." Little Huang Beiyue pouted. At this point, a man in white long-wind suit, with black silk-like hair hanging over the shoulders, came from a side. He picked up the black snake and turned his head to look at them with his narrow eyes. His looked so noble and arrogant that almost made people want to worship him. He put the snake in his hand and touched its head with his fingers. Then he snorted coldly and said, "Disaster is on its way." shouldn't we respect the living beings? You're tuning in to the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.